What is going on, Straight Talk Faithful? Your host, your boy, George Mackay, back in studio, pre-recorded, and man, oh man, this one is absolutely special. Please let me welcome to the show the reigning, defending, ROH champion, PCO. How are you, sir?
What about you, George? I'm fantastic. I'm really in awesome shape right now.
Well, amazing. And I'm so honored that you took the time out for me today on my podcast. This is absolutely huge. It is a complete honor to speak to you. I have been a fan of yours for a very, very long time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll have some fun then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, PCO, one of the first questions I always ask, it's kind of my standard go-to question, is I like to call it the defining moment. It's that moment where you remember when you fell in love with wrestling for the first time.
It's the first time I went on closed circuit. That's the time that I really fell in love with, something that was larger than life. It's when I went on closed circuit at the Verdun Auditorium in the Montreal area in Canada, and it was for WrestleMania 1. And I was there, and it was about 5,000 people. It was probably sold out at that arena there. They weren't on pay-per-view yet, and it was like everyone else back in the days, the Stogiemainia, that really stroked me really hard. I couldn't really understand how people would go so crazy about how I couldn't understand because it was so crazy and so ecstatic that that got me really hooked. Like I had been watching wrestling before that. And sometimes I was going to play hockey, practicing early in the morning. I've seen a few documentary on Edouard Carpentier. I've seen some local wrestling, but that time that I really got hooked, and I really made my mind there that I wanted to become the next Hulk Hogan. I had been watching wrestling for a little while, and then when I watched Hogan at WrestleMania 1, and I really got hooked, and that became a dream that kept growing on me in my heart and became a really burning desire. Something that, to me, was like destiny. It was like, every time that everybody was asking me what I wanted to do when I grow up, it was always, I want to be the next Hulk Hogan. So that's the day,
Oh, that's a great moment. That's a great memory in time. And like I said myself, I've been a personal fan of yours since back in the day when you were one half of the Quebecers. And that's not lying. That's being honest and truthful. Because being from Canada myself, it was very rare. I mean, you saw wrestlers from Canada that they did rep it, but you never really saw wrestlers that kind of held that persona to the truth. And the Quebecers was, a fantastic tag team for me. As a kid, I connected with them. One, because I kind of love the heels. I've always been a heel kind of fan guy. And the Quebecers was just right from the get-go. I was hooked from them. And then, I've kind of followed you on and off throughout your whole career. I mean, started off with WWE in the early 90s. Then you were with World Championship Wrestling for a little bit. Then back to WWE. Then ECW. You've kind of been all over. So in terms of working with all those promotions and now being with ROH now for just over a year, I mean, every promotion kind of has their bumps and their learning curves and stuff like that. But for the most part, the fact that you've been with so many major promotions, is it all kind of meshed together? Like when you look back at your whole career on a grand scale and you think about all the accolades and stuff you've done personally, do you ever sit back and go, holy shit, man, I've been through a lot. I've done a whole lot in my career and still going strong today.
Yeah, I kind of, but there's always that sense of me that was not totally happy with everything that I have accomplished or that I have done, or I can't look at the positive side of it, working for All Japan Pro Wrestling, ECW, TNA back in the day, ECW, WWE, WCW, even NWA. I did the 50th anniversary. I did a bunch of things, but it was always about that moment that I really wanted to live, and it was like I remember also like when Rick Martel, from a guy that came from Canada as well, when he was the AWA world champion. That's something that I thought that was really, really special. And I really wanted to have a run as a major promotion world heavyweight champion. And that had always been the goal. So the fact that, just to me, it's like all those experiences just made me better. Just having like success, being there, and sometimes company was slowing down or didn't have enough sounds for whatever reason, and I ended up being with no jobs and things like that, and having like to go through some rough times. And through all this too, I've been to like a lot of promotions like Auto Vans in Germany, CWA. We worked in front of 15,000 people at the Bremen Stadthalle for the final night, or working in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people like every almost 3-4 days a week, and when you wrestle 7 days a week in Germany at the same building. So that was a great experience. England for all-star promotion with Brian Dixon, where I was there for a while. Been to France, I've been to and plus all the other like foreign countries like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and so all those experiences, it's experiences of life, experiences about the wrestling business, and it all like adds up, and it gives you that experience that I thought like that I needed that, for what I'm going through right now. So I think it made me a better wrestler, and made me understand the business way much better than I did when I was 25 to 26 or 27.
Yeah, there's always that old adage, that old saying that as you get older, you get wiser, and you learn from your past mistakes and your past experiences, and whatever doesn't kill you will obviously make you stronger. So my next question being, when you signed with ROH and you were kind of put together with Marty Scurll for Villain Enterprises, was that something that kind of intrigued you, going that path route? Because at the time, Marty, and still is, very, very hot, very, very popular, one of the staples like yourself in ROH. So being put together with Marty Scurll, how did that suit your introduction into ROH? Because when that happened, I was so excited and so happy for you that to see you back on kind of a main stage platform after I hadn't seen you for a bit of time. So it was very cool for me, from the fan perspective, to see you come back. What was that experience like for you?
Well, the fact is I was really, really hot on the indie scenes. I was like, I became literally the poster boy for all the indie promotions. I've done the Bull with PWG, the tournament Battle of Los Angeles. I've done the SCI tournament. I've done like so many things, so many promotions that I main evented, in 2018, and so by the end of 2019, I was red hot, and a lot of promotion wanted to sign me up. And the fact that I signed with Ring of Honor, it really weighed on the scale. The fact that they proposed to be part of the faction with Marty Scurll and Brody King, which I met Marty prior, in 2007, 2008, over in England, and along with Nick Aldis. And in 2018, I've worked on so many different shows where maybe sometimes we were working against Brody King or in a match or three-way or things like that. But he was part of so many shows that I was part of, so we became really good friends. So when they said we got that idea, to form Villan Enterprises with PCO, Brody King, and Marty Scurll, I was sold right away. I knew that it was going to be very successful, and that's why I decided to go along and sign with Ring of Honor instead of signing with any other companies. I just thought that was going to be a good fit for PCO.
I think it's an excellent fit, and I think you made the right call. I guess the burning question that I have on my mind anyways, and I definitely know some of my listeners would be intrigued, is becoming the champion of ROH, the age you are, and the fantastic shape you're in, and how amazing you're carrying the company. And, every champion, when they have their reign, they always elevate that company to another level. I really think in your reign thus far, you have really elevated ROH to a whole nother level. But yet the whole time as I'm talking to you now, I can see you're still very humble and so respectful of the business. And that's the key factor for me, because I'm very respectful of the business as well. In terms of, carrying the torch as long as the reign will be, and I'm hoping it's going to be a very lengthy one because I think you damn well deserve it. But in terms of, getting the title at that age, that must have been, I watched that moment, and at home, I teared up. I'm not going to lie. I teared up. When I saw that, I was like, damn, wow, so well deserved. But how was that for you? That had to have been a crazy whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah, it was. It was really. I was very emotional as well. I went through all sorts of emotions. It's my life flashes in front of my eyes. From being young at 16 and all those days and all those workouts at wrestling school. And I think people were saying that I could never make it to the big league, and all my time in the WWE, all my time on the Indy scenes before I made it, because it was tough for me. It took me 8 years to make it to the WWE back then, and through some tough times. Many times I had to go on a payphone and ask my mom to wire me some money from Western Union, and because, I was not making enough money sometimes in Puerto Rico, or I was not getting paid, every week, and you're getting behind with my payoffs and things like that. Or I was in England and I was not making enough money. It was a tough time, it was a really tough time. And I was I left home, I was 18 years old, and I went to Calgary, and, I did so many things that I think, not too many people were willing to do, and I took so many chances, and I sacrificed a lot of good jobs, and sometimes I'd be in the Maritimes at 20 years old and be working on top against Bullet Bob Brown, the booker, and Massichono, and I was not speaking good English, and I screwed up a few spots, screwed up a few matches, and I got fired, and things like that, And then I went back and I finished my college, and when I quit school because I didn't see myself there, that burning desire was always there. And then eventually, after TNA, I was offered a good job on commentary for 3 years. I did commentary, but then again, I was making great money. I was working not that many hours per week. It was a super great job, but that's not what I wanted to be. So I quit that again, and I had nothing to fall back on if my plan was not going to work. And I went to England. I wanted to get booked in a major company and be in the prime time, and that didn't work out. So a lot of times I had to pick up myself. So all those moments, they went through my mind like a lightning. It was quick, fast, but I kind of lived every single parts of my career, So it was really, really rewarding for all the efforts. And for me, it took me so long to understand, what it takes to be a world champion, what it takes to be a world champion. I always ask my question. I was asking that question to myself throughout my career. What is it going to take? What is it about? Telling the stories, about the moves, about what it takes. It's about how do you get the people to like you, and how do you get over? It's all those questions. It's really something else. And when I became world champion, Ring of Honor, I had a thought for every single champions, whether they were Stanley Cup champions, Super Bowl champions, Olympians, anybody who won a championship or a medal. I got so much respect for all of them, because it's such a tough road. But the element that made me go to that tough road and kept on rolling my sleeve and kept on grinding, I was so passionate for this business. It's a passion that I got for the business. It keeps me being creative, keeps me being being really, really up to date with everything. And but it was a hell of a school, man. It was a hell of a school. Just to learn how to do that and how to be able to do that. It's been a lot of personal development, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you can always touch on those moments where you can feel yourself elevating to that next level. And that, like I said, that night for me, it was a special night. It was a humbling night as a fan to see you get that, because, like I said, it was a long time coming, and I believe it was well deserved. And good on Ring of Honor for putting that title on you, because that's where it needs to be, and that's where I honestly hope and truly that it stays. In terms of your indie run and how incredible it was for those years. They always say every character that anyone ever plays in the wrestling business is almost an amped up version of themselves. It's them, but it's them kicked up to a couple of different notches. You've had so many characters and so many developments to kind of get to PCO. Would you say PCO was the ultimate character that you always wanted to portray? Or was there another persona in your past, promotions, past early stages of your career that you really kind of enjoyed playing while you could?
No, that's really the one. And, it feels like throughout your whole career, you're trying to find that right character, trying to find that right angle where, this is going to be you, but like you said, a couple nut shot or a couple a larger scale of your life, like on the larger scale of your regular life and everyday life. But this is really PCO. This is really, I couldn't find anything that would suit me better than that. And actually, the coolest thing about it, it's almost like you hear like they say, when the student is ready, the master appears. And to me, with that character, it felt like when I was ready, the character appeared. It's like, the character found me. It's not me who found that character. It was the other way around. And I think that's so cool. That's so unique, and that's so overwhelming that Destro, actually, who trained me, who is a very, very great trainer, very great person, very creative guy, just so many qualities, so much talent and things like that, that he could really see through me, Frankenstein. And by the way, he's a very big monster lover. I mean, he's when he was from 3 years old up to until he was like 7 or 8 years old, he was only watching monster movies. And the fact that our road crossed together, that we crossed roads together, then we became friends and we started working together. Then, both worlds, like his worlds of old man, feats of strength, old time strongman, feats of strength, plus the monster world, plus my experience of a pro wrestler, but never having the chance to really got a character that really got over that much. The fact that we've been able to put that together, I mean, that's a hell of a blessing. You know, that's unbelievable. You know, it's almost miraculous in a way. You know, and it happened at a late age, but I think it just happened at a time where I was ready for it. You know, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to get that thing going for me.
Absolutely, 150%. I love everything you said, and I love the answer to the question because I could tell it was real, and I could tell it was heartfelt, and that's what I love about doing what I do. I mean, being a podcast host for 2 years, you hear so many amazing stories, you hear so many careers, the ups and downs, the peaks, the valleys, and just the indie scene in general, especially where I'm from. I mean, Ontario, Canada, the indie scene here is fantastic. Also, where you're from, the indie scene is second to none. Out in Montreal and Quebec, it's just absolutely fantastic. So that actually leads to my next question. In terms of like your indie run and all the amazing matches and wrestlers you were able to tell stories with in the ring, because that's what a lot of people don't understand about wrestling. A lot of people just see it as two guys, or a guy and a girl, or two women, or what have you, wrestling around in a ring, just fighting. And it's not fighting; it's an art form. It really and truly is. When you're in the ring, it's almost like a dance, and the person across from you is your dance partner. And they and you combined together tell a story. And some people get the story, some people don't. So in terms of your incredible indie run that you had and all the great matches, is there a match that sticks out to you, or an opponent that sticks out to you that was like, that was, hands down, one of the best times I had in the ring?
I've had a few great matches on the indie run. Like, if I talk about my whole career, I mean, I've had great matches with Sami Zayn. In IWS in Montreal, I've had great matches with Kevin Owens, also IWS and other promotions in Canada. I've had great matches with Ricky Banderas, Mil Muertes in Puerto Rico. We feuded for almost a whole year in Puerto Rico, and I remember a specific cage match that we had. We totally blew the crowd away, and we had a few great matches together. And lately I've had a match with WrestleMania 34 that turned my career around, was with Walter. And that was just one of those nights when everything clicks, when everything goes right, when everything kind of it's like if life had set up something for both guys to look amazingly good and put on a show. It's so graceful, it's so fantastic that match really turned my career away. But I had a plan, I just didn't go there just to wrestle Walter. I really wanted to impact the wrestling world that night, and I really wanted to get all eyes on PCO, and it were really prove my value at that time, which I was 50 years old. So that match is really the one who really stands out above the other matches for those reasons. And I've also had a great match, two other great matches that year. I had one against a guy from Quebec here, Max Lemire. He's the strongest man, and he left the strongest man competition to come into the wrestling world, and we had a match in Ontario for Great North Wrestling, and that match got scouted out from Black Label Pro Michael Blanton. And then again, and January 13, 2018, I've wrestled Holly Ego, Ethan Page, and we tore the house down, and Joey Janela was there. And Joey, so after my match, asked me if I wanted to be part of WrestleMania 34 weekend at the Georgia Spring Break, too. And I said yes. And when he said we'd be wrestling Walter, I didn't know at the time who Walter was, but I already worked against Walter prior when he was 18 years old. And back in Germany for WXW, a 16-carat tournament. So the fact that I've worked in once and that I spent maybe 4 or 5 days around the group of guys that were there back then kind of created the atmosphere and the chemistry that we needed for that special match, mine. And, I mean, his career has been like also, like, he was already on the upper swing. But after that match that we had together, then he was in demand all over there even more. And then he got signed up, and I got signed up. So just to tell you how much that match meant to me and probably to him, I mean, today we still trade some texts here and there sometimes. So he's a great dude, and we're exchanging once in a while, a few times, like during the year, like in the last 2 years. And so, yeah, that's those matches that really stand out recently.
Yeah, those are great answers. I mean, I was hoping you were going to mention the match with Walter. I was actually able to see a few clips of it online here or there, and yeah, hands down, you guys both told one hell of a story that night, and it was just something special to watch for sure. I mean, my all-time favorite match of yours for sure is definitely seeing you raise that ROH title, 150%. In terms of all the matches that you've had, and people always say, depending on the gravity of the situation or the risks that are taken, I mean, there's always risks when you step in that ring. There's risks because you're putting your life in, your opponent's hands, and vice versa. He's putting his in yours. In terms of all the matches that you've had, is there a match that, you might never want to do again? Like some of those stipulation matches that you've done. I mean, I could list them on and on and on. But just to hear it from your mouth only, is there matches that sometimes you look back at it and you're like, man, I'm surprised I walked out of that one, or I'm surprised I got away with as minimal, damage as possible. Because at the end of the day, everything's a risk. But to do it for the fans and how you guys do it 350 days a year is just something absolutely incredible to me. The amount of the time and effort that goes into it is just insane. I mean, this business is a business that never stops. It keeps evolving.
Yeah.
It keeps evolving, man. It really does. So in terms of like those stipulation matches and going 350 days a year, the grind, is there a match that you look back on and think, I'm so glad that I did it, but I'm also glad that I walked away from it? You know what I mean?
Well, there's two matches that really stand out. The match of the Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania last year, the G1 Supercard at the Madison Square Garden, where I took the power bomb from inside the ring to the cement floor on the outside. This is something that I really like, the fact that I didn't get injured at all, that I did that against everybody's advice. Like, nobody wanted me to do it, and the only guy that was backing me up on this one was Brody King, because he knows how I am. He's seen me done a lot of things. I've done a lot of crazy things for MLW as well, and then he was telling everybody that we're connected, like agents and the New Japan officials and all kinds of people that were, no, don't do that. We will catch you. No, this is MSG. This is a very special night for me. I haven't been here in a while, and I really want to leave my mark here in a positive way. And I really want to have like something special, and that entrance to the electric chair was probably one of the most awesome entrances in the history of pro wrestling, and especially that it was a non-WWE production. It was produced by Ring of Honor, and they put a lot more money into it, a lot of time and a lot of efforts, and the crowd reaction was absolutely insane. And I really liked the match as well, with the fast pace, and it was like a three-way tag team and all the belts on the line. And being able to get like power bombs from inside the ring and being able to set up on it and then crash back down and having the people crying in the stands and holding their heads, and that's what the business is all about. Drama, telling story, having people going through all kinds of emotions, being happy, being worried, being frustrated, and being, having the chance to be exuberant and to let go all their feelings, their hatred or the whatever bad feelings that they can live through their life, and being able to let it go. And to me, it's like that was something very special. But to say I would do that move every night, that would be a lie. But I know that I got a few more bumps I did that I can take, like if I want to, because this one didn't injure me at all. I was just a little stiff the next day or the same night while I was, going back to Montreal. But it was nothing special. I didn't have to take any pain pills, or I didn't have to go to the hospital, or I couldn't walk on my both legs, and that was like in great shape. So this really stands out. And the match against Bruce, when I won the title, I don't know if you remember at one point where he put all the railings on the floor and he threw me off the stage, and had those legs from those railings. They were like 12 inches like high up, and they were like nice. And I remember that I really had to take my bump right in the middle of all those nights, and then they were still around the hearse when we fought on the hearse, and they gave me a suplex while I was running on the top of the hearse, and then he was there at the edge, and then he gave me a suplex, and I slid on the hood of the car, and I ended up in the railings that they were lying on the ground. And that nail, that spike, which was like so huge and big, and was like a knife, almost went through my heart or my lungs or whatever it could be. So that was pretty. That was a short call. Like that was like maybe a few inches away from my body. So that I would have to be more careful with something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm reliving that moment in my head right now, and yeah, I mean that definitely took my breath away. And my final question, because this is a question I think you could definitely give a fantastic answer to. A lot of people in this business don't understand the grind, like I mentioned earlier, 350 plus days a year, grinding show to show, little sleep, and especially when you're a champion like yourself, you're talking promo, you're talking interviews, you're talking all that kind of stuff, especially what you're doing for me. And before I ask the last question, though, I do want to say thank you for the time. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to speak with you today. And I want to officially let you know, PCO, that you are now a member of the Straight Talk family. You have my number, I have yours. Anytime you want to come back on the show, I would absolutely love to have you. It's been an honor and a privilege to speak with you today.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored. And hopefully, we will talk a few more times over the course of the year. I'm having it, I got great projects, I got great plans for the future. I really want to upgrade the PCO image, PCO character, the PCO Monster Mania, and hopefully, sometimes down the road, 6 months from now or a year from now, we'll be able to, look at what's been accomplished, over the last, let's say we're talking about 6 to 8 months or a year from now.
Absolutely.
Be able to make talk about what was new and what happened, and I'm full of big feelings about big accomplishments that I really want to achieve. So it's going to be very interesting to talk in the future.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for conversation number 2. Number 2, number 3, number 5, 6, whatever happens. So my last question. the grind, the struggle, the ups and downs, the peaks, the valleys. If there's a young fan listening to this interview and you could pass on any wisdom to them about this business, what would you tell them?
Well, you have to really, no matter what, you have to make sure that the goal that you want to achieve, it's something that's going to make you a better person. It's something that's going to make you grow. It can be about your ego, because if you do it for your ego, if you do it for the woman, if you do it for the prestige, if you do it because you want to be a star, if you do it because you want to be on TV, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So you have to find a way to do it for the right reasons. And if you do it for the right reasons and you still have that motivation and you still have that passion for it, and it shouldn't be anything in your way that can stop you for achieving your goal. Especially because if it's just something that you really want, it's because it's part of your, DNA. And if it's part of your DNA, at first it looks like everything's going against you, and there's no way that you're gonna make this happen. But if you keep on grinding, keep on fighting, keep on believing in yourself, and keep on being open-minded about, maybe sometimes you do things, you think you're doing the right way, but maybe you're doing the wrong way. You have to have like a very open mind. And you have to read a lot, and you have to research a lot, and you have to try to be the best person that you can be. Because you don't want to have a run like I did in 92, like 93, 94, 95, where it's all about your ego, and then you end up being very disappointed because you realize that you've done it for the wrong things, and it had given you no reward whatsoever, because you feel like, pretty empty every time that you realize something. You feel empty. You're still looking for something else to reward that ego. But once you want to accomplish another goal because you want to grow as a person and you want to serve people and you want to give back, and you're doing it for the right reason, and you really want to give a great show to all the fans, and you really want them to enjoy their show, and like, given my time like this, it's something that really, when you become a champion, you have like maybe 2, 3 a day, sometimes 2. You're invited on TV shows and all over the place, and you become overwhelmed. But you still want to do it, and you still love doing it, because it's more than just about yourself. So you have to find that reason why you want to do it. And once you do it for the right reason, things starts to click, and things start to get put together for yourself.
Absolutely fantastic answer to end off an absolutely incredible interview. PCO, thank you again for the time. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege. And again, congratulations on capturing that championship. And I know you're going to defend it till the absolute end of time. And I cannot wait to see the rest of this run. And I'm going to hold you to it. 6 to 8 months down the road, I'm going to call you, and we're going to do this all over again.
Yeah, for sure. We need to do that. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. You go ahead, enjoy the rest of your night, sir, and I will talk to you very soon.
All right. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Again, it was an absolute honor.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, what can I say? My mind is blown. That was PCO, the current reigning, defending ROH champion. An absolute humble gentleman to speak to, an absolute legend in this business, and what can I say? Hashtag blessed. Your host, your boy, always bringing you the most candid and real interviews that I possibly can, and that's what Straight Talk Wrestling is all about. Straight up, honest, real, and fantastic conversations. As always, I'm your host, your boy, George Mackay. Don't forget to follow the socials for next week's episode. And that's it for me, man. So as always, guys, peace, love, and wrestling, and I will talk to you next week. Peace.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week for another episode on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. Also follow us on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _Straight Talk. And for all our merchandise, you can search us on ProWrestlingTees.com.